Okay, good morning, everybody. What a beautiful, wonderful day it is. Oopsie daisy. Okay, we are holding in the book of Shemos, in the book of Exodus, chapter 29, verse number 1. We are in the portion of Ata Tetzaveh. We are on Wednesday, the 12th day of Adar. After making the whole beautiful temple and making all the beautiful garments of the Kohen and the Kohen Gadol, this is what you shall do to sanctify them. Lachan lead so that they should become priests to me, Kehanim. Lakach pat echad, take a young bull, ben bakar ve'elim shnoim, and 2 rams, timimim, that are perfect. So Rashi says that one of the pat echad, the bull, was to come and forgive on the sin of the egel of the golden calf. Verse number 2. Lechem matzos, and take unleavened bread, v'chales matzos, and unleavened loaves, belula b'shemen, that are mixed with oil, urikike matzos, and unleavened wafers, mishuchem b'shemen, that are anointed with oil, v'samte soiles chitim ta'asoisam, these make them out of fine flour. So Rashi says these are 3 types of matzah, which is scalding dough, loaves, and wafers. The unleavened bread is what is called further in the section loaves of oil bread, because Moshe Rabbeinu, will put as much oil into the scalding dough as in the loaves and in the wafers, and of each of the type of the unleavened bread referred to here, 10 loaves were brought. Rashi continues, what means belula b'shemen? It's mixed with oil. When the bread was flour, Moshe Rabbeinu took and poured oil on them and mixed together the flour and the oil. And then mishuchem b'shemen, there was mixed with oil and anointed with oil after they were baked. Moshe Rabbeinu anointed them like a sort of a Greek chaf, which resembles our letter in the alphabet of a nun. A nun is like an elbow. Verse number 3. And you shall take and place them onto a basket. You shall bring them besal, in this basket, and the bull and the 2 rams. Rashi says, with kraftim, what does it mean? You shall bring them where? Al Chatzar Mishkan, to the courtyard of the Mishkan on the day it was erected. Verse 4. And you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting. And you shall bathe them in water. What was the bathing in water? This was the mikvah, going to the mikvah. That was in general, where you find that the Torah says bathing in water. Does not mean to take a shower or bath. It means to go to a mikvah. Verse 5. Then you take the garments with Balshas. You'll take these garments and you'll clothe Aaron. You're going to clothe him with the robe. Vesamiel, and with the tunic, and with the robe of the ephod. And with the choshen. You shall adorn it with the band of the ephod. So Rashi says, adorn and affix the belt and the apron around him. So the ephod was a belt that connected all the garments, the ephod, to his body. Verse 6, then you put the turban, the cap, al roishe, upon his head, Sates Nezer HaKodesh, you put that beautiful forehead plate, Ala Mitznefes, upon the cap. So that says Nezer HaKodesh, the holy crown. This was the show plate that was upon his forehead. So that says Al HaMitznefes, upon the cap. It was not upon the cap, it was on his forehead. So Rashi said, I explained before already, yesterday, in yesterday's Rashi, there was the middle of the thread, the show place, and two threads on the head. So it came out from the middle and from the two sides of the plate, as we explained yesterday, and they were all tied behind his head. And that's what it means to put it on top of the hat. Verse 7. Then you take from the anointing oil, pour it on the head of Aaron, and you anoint him. So now she says again, I explained before, this anointing like a Greek chaf, so it's like a nun. So he put like a nun on his head of oil. He just went like a nun. And he, the letter nun, like an elbow. And he put it on a Benise Einav with the, applied the Aaron's head between his eyebrows and joined them with his finger. Verse 8. And then you shall bring his sons. And you'll put upon them this tunic garment. Verse 9. Then you shall grid them with the sashes. And you're going to put on them hats. And they'll become priests for perpetual statute for them. And you will fill the hands of Aaron and his sons. And as we said before, that filling means responsibility. They have now received the responsibility of priesthood. So that says this was all to eternal kahuna, and the children and the grandchildren till today will be kohanim. Verse number 10. Then you're going to bring the bull to the tent. And Aaron and his sons will put his hands upon the head of the bull. And then you will slaughter the bull before God. In front of the door of the tent of meeting. What does that mean? So Rashi says, in the courtyard of the Mishkan. In the courtyard of the Mishkan, before the door of the tent of meeting, is where you slaughter the bull. Verse 12. There you take from the blood of the bull and apply it in the horns of the altar with your finger. And all the rest of the blood you'll pour at the base of the altar. So now you put it actually on the horns. As we know, the Mizbeach had like horns sticking out, 4 horns on all the 4 corners. It's called Adam Shai, the leftover blood, the Yosei Mizbeach, a sort of protruding receptacle, was made all around the altar, and it was elevated a cubit from the ground. There was like a base around the altar that had a hole up in it, and they used to pour it, the rest of the blood, into that hole in the base of the Mizbeach, and would go straight into the ground. This is all going to be taught at length in the book of Leviticus. Verse 13. Then you'll take all the fat that cover the innards. And the diaphragm and with the liver and with the 2 kidneys. All the fat that's upon them. And you will burn it on the altar. So that says this is the membrane of the rumen, the first stomach of the remaining of a ruminant animal, which is called T-E-L-E, tela, in modern French. As he said, as I covered Hesedes, and the diaphragm, Hesedes, this is the membrane of the liver called Iberis. In Mishem, when we come to Vayikra, we're going to get a animal, the inner, we're going to be taught all the inner aspects of the animal. We're going to get to know all the how many things are in an animal and what's brought as a sacrifice, what's not, and you'll all have mentioned. Ala koved, on the liver, he must take part of the liver along with it. Verse 14, the flesh of the bull, and its hide, and its dung, he burnt a fire outside the camp. This is a burnt offering. So Rashi says, we only find that a burnt offering was burnt out of the temple was only this one. Because you'll see in the future, a regular sin offering was brought in the Beis Hamikdash. This was the command of this specific offering of the dedication of Aaron and his sons as priests in the Beis Hamikdash. Verse 15. Then you take one of the rams. And Aaron and his sons lean their hands on the head of this ram. Head of it. Verse 16, then you slaughter the ram. You take its blood, and you pour the blood, sprinkle the blood around the altar. So Rashi says, with a vessel, what did he do? Grass and sprinkle the basin and sprinkle the blood opposite the horns of the altar, in order that the blood would then be visible on both sides. He took the corner, sprinkled the blood on each corner, and automatically he hit a corner, it went on both sides. The only sacrifice requires the blood to be applied with the finger is the sin offering. The other sacrifice required neither that the blood be sprinkled on the horn, nor the applied with the finger, because the application of there was the blood on the lower half of the altar. And the Kehanim does not ascend the ramp of the altar, but he stands on the ground and he sprinkles. So there's a concept, as we'll learn again in the book of Leviticus, how and what he did with the blood of each and every sacrifice, how some he sprinkled it on the altar, the outside altar, some he brought it into the Beis Hamikdash, etc., etc. Some were sprinkled on the curtain of inside the temple. So Rashi says, thus is delineated in Shitras Kochim, and the Gemara explains that Saviv, when you say around, refers to only two applications. He went to one corner, he sprinkled it, got two sides, went to the other corner, sprinkled, it was a drop of blood, took a drop of blood on his fingers, threw it towards the Mizbeach, and it went on both sides. So really it was two shots that covered all four sides. That's the way it was done. Verse 17. And then he takes the ram and he cuts it up, cuts it to pieces. But he would clean out the innards. And its legs, when he would put them all together. He would take the entire owl, cut up in pieces, but in one pile, he would take the entire ram and put it on the Mizbeach. Ha'oila, Hashem, it was called an oila, a burnt offering. Or the oila was called a burnt offering because it was burnt the entire animal. As again, we'll learn in the book of Leviticus that some sacrifices were brought, were eaten, part of it, some was totally burnt on the altar, some was only the Kehanim, some was the Jew that brought it. We will all learn these laws in Shem in the book of Leviticus. And over here we see mentioned, and we're going to mention many times this statement. Reach nechayach, it's a spirit of sanctification. God loved so to say, the smell. Ishel Hashem, it was a fire offering to God. So Rashi says, what means a reach nechayach, a spirit of sanctification? Nachas ruach lefane. It's a sanctification to me. Shamarti v'nasir tzayni. That I commanded and you have performed. And we know that the sacrifice, as we're going to learn, is not an easy mitzvah for a lot of people to swallow. It's a lot of blood and a lot of guts and everything else. But the Yidden did it. They did the mitzvah. They brought sacrificial offerings throughout the time from until the destruction of the Second Temple. Jews brought sacrifices, and they did it not because they enjoyed it or they felt any kind of joy out of bringing it. They did it because God asked them to do it, and they did it. Ishay, it's a fire offering. Ishay, the word is related to Aish, which means burning the limbs that are on the fire. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. Today is Wednesday, the 12th day of Adar. We are holding in the 33rd chapter of Tanya. And now the Alter Rebbe continues how a Jew has to be besimcha. A Jew has to be with great joy. Not only has to serve God with great joy, he has to be in generally joyful. Because the Eibishter gave him a schus. God gave us a great merit to become close to him and to serve him. And to not only serve him, but to bring godliness to the world and to elevate this world. A world that is nothing. A world that is totally nullified to God. And God said, I want a Jew to bring godliness. Okay, we're back. And therefore the Alter Rebbe continues. And for this ability of experiencing to be absorbed in God's unity, to unite God with the world and make for God a dwelling place in the world, therefore our sages instituted that one should render praise and thanks to God's name each morning. And the way he should, one of his praises should be, Ashreinu Matev Chalkeinu, how fortunate are we. Umayafa Yerushaseinu, how good is our portion. We are happy to be Jewish. We're happy to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is a great schus. This is not only an obligation, a pain, this is a schus. This is a merit that we were given the capability to unite God with the world. We were given the capability to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, imagine that suddenly you wake up one morning and you find out that you are given an inheritance. Somebody or whatever, a loved one left you $1 million. That's something you didn't work for. You woke up one day, you won the lottery. You woke up one day, you didn't even give $1. You were given an inheritance, some aunt you didn't know left you an inheritance. $10 million. Unbelievable. Would you not be happy? So, came v'yasa, similarly and infinitely more so. Yesh leila smayach, we have to be so happy. Al Yerushaseinu, on our inheritance. Shehin chila aviseinu, which our forefathers bequeathed us, that we are the Jewish nation. Any one of us chose to be part of the Jewish nation. We were born Jewish. Even a convert, the Gemara says, was born already a convert. And why he or she converted was because he was born that way. He or she had that potential, was given that soul already before. That's like inheritance, just lucky as can be. This inheritance is a true unity of God. That even here below on our earth, There is nothing else besides him alone. And thus his abode is among the lowly beings of this physical world, when they are pervaded in awareness of God's unity and nullify themselves before him. We have the capability of doing that. What a merit that we have, an inheritance that God gave us, a Torah, and we got it through our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents to Avraham Avinu. And this is the meaning of our statement of the rabbis of blessed memory. 630 commandments were given to the Jewish people. Came Chavakuk. Chavakuk was a prophet. And he said, you know what? I'm going to give you the meaning, the common denominator of all mitzvahs. I'm going to give you, you want to know all mitzvahs? You say 613. It's basically one principle. All mitzvahs are basically one concept. And what is it? Tzaddik b'mnosa yichya. A tzaddik lives by his faith. What does that mean? So I'll tell him explain. Stop looking at the number of mitzvahs. It's not the number. It's the point of the mitzvah. All mitzvahs in the Torah have one concept. It's a concept of belief. That's what fits with the Chumash. The Rebbe says, I have pleasure. I said it, and you did. You had emunah. You're not comfortable. You are comfortable. You're happy. You're not on a good day. You had a bad hair day. It has nothing to do with it. It's important, our faith. And every mitzvah we do is connected to our faith, to the faith in God. Because if you have faith, you'll come to do all 630 mitzvahs. When we have emunah, it's not how many mitzvahs, how hard the mitzvah is. It's not irrelevant. Because once you have emunah, once you have faith, everything is easy. So it's all about faith. It's all about emunah. So Chavakuk said, stop worrying about the numbers. Stop worrying about worry about your faith. You'll build your faith. It's not important anymore, the amount. Why? When one's heart will rejoice and be glad with his faith in God's unity, as though he were obligated by just one mitzvah, and it alone were the purpose for which he and all the worlds were created. So if he had faith, and not only had faith, he had simcha in his faith. He had joy in his faith. Not he took faith and he was obligated faith. He had joy in his faith. And it's all one thing. It's all one thing, and that's the whole purpose of creation. Let him thus rejoice in his mitzvah of faith, and by the power and vitality of his soul generated from his great joy, his soul will soar above all obstacles. If he has joy in his faith, nothing will stop him. Hindering his obstacles that are hindering his fulfillment of 630 mitzvahs. Both obstacles from within and both obstacles from without. Whether the struggle is an inner struggle, myself, I'm struggling with my own animalistic soul, I'm struggling with other issues in the outside world. It's all irrelevant because I'm above it. I have great joy in my faith. And that's why it says, Be'emunasa yichya. The expression yichya, will live. What does that mean? Will live. It means a sense the will be revived. As though the resurrected from the dead, so will his soul be revived by this great joy. Yichya will give life. The faith, tzaddik b'menasa yichya, his faith gives him life. His faith resurrects him. Zeu simcha kfulo mechapelas. This is a doubled and redoubled joy. Apart from the soul's joy upon apprehending how near God is to him and how he dwells together with him. And the Alter Rebbe will continue. Hold on your seats, and that will continue tomorrow. What a beautiful Tanya of the day. Really a beautiful Tanya of the day. And we are now going to go to tell you the Tilim of the day. Today is the 12th day of the month, 12th day of the month of Adar, and coming closer to Purim. And it starts on chapter 66, and it goes until chapter 68. So 66, 67, and 68. And you would have done Tilim, the Psalms of the day, and you would have done the Chitas of the day. Have a beautiful, wonderful, happy day. See you tomorrow, Mishnah. Tomorrow is a fast day. Tomorrow is Tainus Esther, the fast of Esther. Tomorrow night is Purim. Tonight in Mishnah, we're going to have the class on the JLI class on the journey of the soul. Instead of Thursday, we're going to have it tonight. I wish you all a wonderful day.
And you too, Rabbi.
Be happy.
Oh, yeah.
Baruch Hashem.